What's here? Oh, come on, Matt, sing it with me.
What a wicked game.
What a wicked, wicked world. Great story coming out for you, Matt. Chris Isaak, fantastic musician. My sister is in Nashville for a conference, and part of the package was to, I think, view the Gibson factory offices or whatever. Anyway, she gets on the elevator, and there's a guy holding a Gibson guitar, and she asks, "Hey, how about a little elevator concert? What do you got?" And the guy is fantastic dressed, right? Beautiful boots and a black leather coat, and he just starts playing his most famous riff, and it was Chris Isaak.
Really?
For her right there on the elevator. You know, I shared an elevator with Phil Mickelson once a long time ago, just me and Phil, and I was able to bust his balls beautifully. Anyway, you never know where you're going to find, our royalty, because we don't have any royals. Love the tune.
That just reminded me of what's the song Royals by what's that girl's name? Oh,
Katy Perry?
No, not Katy Perry. Anyways, Royals.
This is the new Katy.
You just put that one in my head.
Everybody's eyes are dysfunctional now, and nobody knows why.
The Matrix.
The Matrix has dysfunctioning eyes. Matt, speaking of the Matrix,
yes.
Let me share right away. And I want to share this. Matt, you know that I am an aspiring artist. I like to put paint on canvas. Well, we want to talk about AI. This is a site called Night Cafe, and they take images, or they just take word suggestions and let their AI engine develop a picture for it, an image. It's pretty cool technology, and I don't think anybody really realizes how far and wide AI is going to touch all of us here in the near future. Anyway, so
if it's not already. Yeah.
If it's not already. So I just, I love this Van Gogh interpretation that the AI did of this painting I got on the canvas. And this is the painting here. And I wasn't even done yet. And this is obviously the Van Gogh Starry, Starry Night interpretive that the AI is using to, as if Van Gogh painted my painting, how he would have painted it. Right. I don't know, man. It's crazy. Yeah. I like Van Gogh's better. I like the AI's Van Gogh better than my own painting. I'm like, wow, I didn't even realize that those were some of the nuances in my painting until Van Gogh did it, or the AI Van Gogh. Right. I'm going to go cut my ear off, Matt. Why don't you bring up, because we're talking about AI stocks and
well, let's talk a little bit about, what happened last night. We had a major earnings out of Google, Microsoft, Texas Instruments. So let's just look at those, because they were running hard into the earnings last night, and all three of them really missed pretty badly. And the market has shrugged it off. Not the overall market.
Yes.
What's that?
The overall market.
The overall market is, we're at 3,900 almost on the SPOOs, so they're green. And but so this is interesting. Like I find this really interesting, because the NASDAQ is still not green. Apple's red. They got their earnings coming next week. We have Facebook today after the close. We have Amazon tomorrow. So after this week, and then we just have Apple left. We're pretty much done again until January with the earnings circuit. So there's really nothing left that can move these stocks and move the market. And I think, that was really my thought, why we would go from 3,500 to, up to the 3,950 area, 4,000, 4,100. And we're almost there. And it's taken less than 2 weeks. It's taken, basically 10 days to get this done. But Microsoft did not like it. It's basically trading in the 2-week point of control, which is around 238. So it's off $14. But again, considering all things considering, that's it had recovered up here, and now it looks like it's resuming down, which I would think. And then Google, same thing. Let's just look at the short-term chart real quick. Google's off from the high yesterday of 105 down all the way to 95, which I don't know. There's really nothing. I can't tell you why people decided to buy at 95, but they just did. I think it's mechanical, the way the market has reacted to these stocks. They just bought the open and they're up from the open. Again, everything is being bought right now. Everybody's in, probably, overly underperforming, and they're chasing. So I don't think this is a good time to be chasing though. So that being said, Texas Instruments also got hammered pretty hard, and again, you see the same thing. It's almost all the way back. So it traded down here. It traded down here to 151, and it's all the way up to 159, just down 1.5%, and really horrible earnings. What I read and saw on those. Bonds up another $2 today, Bob. We want to talk about that, as we always do.
Yeah. We have to, because if that's a temporary bottom, maybe there is more life to be had in the stocks. Bring it up though. Bring it up, because by far the most. Pick your asset about violent trading, but this bond move is nothing like this has ever been seen before in this time frame. And that's just all there is to it. So
yeah. So again, 117 and 19 was low. We were looking for like that 111, 114 is still like the long-term area. But maybe we're not going to get there. Maybe 117 is the number. Maybe we are at the highs in interest rates. The market's always forward looking. So that's kind of what the market is telling us right now, that right now, at least 2 days ago, is the temporary.
As you say that, and as I look at that chart, it reminds me of people shorting GME at, or any of these meme stocks when they were on their lows. This has been such a massive move, to try to squeeze out the last $3 to that point of control that you've pointed out for several months now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it can bounce, it can trade sideways, it can do a lot of things, and it doesn't. It sort of, to me, makes more sense that we need time for actual bad news to develop and filter into the market before any more damage can be done. For sure, these stocks, these companies are warning that there's slowdown coming. It's going to be interesting for me to see how the Christmas season unfolds, how tight people's budgets get. Black Friday, those type of days.
Yeah, basically, what you're hearing in earnings, like we talked about yesterday, is all the pricing pressures are being passed on to the consumer, and the consumer is swallowing it. Well, at some point, the consumer will just say, I can't buy it, and I'm not going to buy, that. So I can't afford it. So I don't know. I think at some point, and again, we haven't gotten to that point yet, but this is really kind of the first chink, I would say, in the armor for some of the tech stocks. And we have Facebook coming again today. That was up big yesterday. Again, everything's already, like you've had these moves already, and it's hard to I don't like to, I don't like to really trade into, around the earnings unless I'm, a portfolio longer term positions. But Facebook down $4 today on, kind of probably the response to Google's numbers yesterday, right? Advertising is slowing down a little bit. And again, that got up to 138 yesterday, back down here to 133.5, just kind of in the muddle. Excuse me, I was going to sneeze.
Here it comes. Woo!
Woo! Okay.
All right, man. Who had 923 for Matt's first sneeze? Pay the man. Pay the man.
Speaking of bets, you have a boxing event that you wanted to talk about a little bit.
I do. I want to talk about this. Matt, I'm a giant fan of the UFC. I've been watching UFC since they were still in gis and there was no weight class. the ultimate discussion on whether the grappler jiu-jitsu guy can take on the striker. And this for me is very interesting. Jake Paul, obviously a fantastic self-promoter, but man, he is getting in the ring with a 47-year-old Anderson Silva, but he does not look like he's out of shape to me. And he's got that 47-year-old old man strength. The thing I find interesting is Jake says here he believes that the boxing match could generate 700,000 pay-per-view buys, which would be a giant payday. Get out of here, Dr. Oz. This was yesterday on Yahoo News. I would think Yahoo still has some fairly good traffic. And the thing that stuck out to me was there's only one comment on the article, which makes me think that, you know what, maybe not 700,000. I'll take the under on 700,000 pay-per-view buys. The other thing that I think is interesting, Matt, and please somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Why can't there just be a pari-mutuel bet on this? Why doesn't somebody come up with a pari-mutuel style? It's just with money. Like, who's your money with? And then it pays out via the pool that was bet on the particular, like in horse racing, there's a certain amount of money that's bet on the race. The track gets to rake whatever, 1 or 2% of that. And then all the money is distributed back out to who bet on what. Like, so why is there, it's 180, 240. Anderson Silva's, you got to lay 240 to win 100. And Logan Paul, if you bet 100, you win 180. It seems to me that's a giant inefficiency in the model. I don't know why there isn't more pari-mutuel style wagering in everything. What do you need the bookie to make the line for? Just give me with money and against money.
What do you mean? What do you mean? That's their business.
Yeah, but somebody could, I'll just take the 2% rake that the track takes, like they've done it for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Of just taking 2%. It's like the slot machine.
Well, I'm sure they've done the math. I'm sure it works out to be better the way they do it, Bob.
Of course it does.
You know,
of course it does.
They're not there to help you out, so they're there to take your money.
Anyway, I think Jake Paul, somebody should get some insurance out on him, because I think Anderson Silva just might kill him. And here's the other thing. If Anderson Silva's losing, he should just break the rules and take him down and put him in an arm bar, or, you know, choke him out. Just give him a jiu-jitsu or kick him, give him a roundhouse. You know, it's like, all right, I've had enough of this fight. This kid is a lot stronger than I thought, and I'm just going to roundhouse kick him and end the fight and get disqualified. Thank you very little. Matt, speaking of disqualified, we talked earlier in the week about EVs, and yes. I wanted to know, and Warren shared with us immediately, but we're just getting it to it. This is from theconversation.com. And it's talking about how much electricity you would need to actually generate if everybody plugged in and drove an EV. And from their information here, they're telling us that in Texas, they need to increase the grid by 30%. And in California, they need to increase the grid by 50% or more. I mean, when you think about those two numbers, it's just a giant amount of infrastructure. Well, what's the timeline on that? 10 years to build plants? And what are they going to use?
Well,
fossil fuel, natural gas? I thought that, I mean, at some point there has to be an adult conversation about the ridiculousness. And believe me,
we haven't had an adult in the political scene for 2.5 years. So what are you expecting? This election cycle, if the GOP was smart, they would just keep running nonstop. The energy secretary laughing at the price of gas, and that if you had an EV, you wouldn't be suffering right now. Right. Yeah, whatever.
Just keep laughing. Just keep laughing at people for their struggles, and we'll see how that works for you.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Let's take a look at crude, because not to be crude, but it is on the move again. And 81 was the low here last Wednesday, last Tuesday morning. And 1 week later, we're up 10%. 88.30 was the high. We're sitting at 88.15, basically the high of the day. Back into the meat of this profile. And again, I wanted to show really the last couple months, just to show that if you're, you know, if you are getting your news from the man at the White House, you know, he's not telling you the truth, because gasoline, when you filled up, you know, in Oregon, and I filled up, it's almost $6 a gallon. So I don't know where he's getting these $3.99 numbers, but
Or 350 next to the refinery in Cushing's.
yeah,
That's
maybe
where it
in
is.
Houston, maybe, you know, there's you know, cheaper gas in the Midwest for sure too. But again, that's because they have less distance to travel and less taxes, I guess. But you know, this is not going away. And again, you know, we've been talking about 150, 200 and gas coming next year. Now, you know, zero hedges on it. Some, you know, talking about a trade that somebody put on, these long dated calls that they picked up, you know, these strikes up in that area. Like big money, like $3.5 million was laid or something like that, I think.
Again, like I don't like have an opinion, that's fine, but it's much more relevant if you put $3.5 million behind your opinion.
So somebody's saying, yeah, the gasoline at 350 a gallon is not real. That's, you know, again, you're living in a dream world. You're living in the strategic petroleum reserves are drawn down to zero world. But hey, you know, what am I? I'm just a price guy, and the price to me does not look bearish at all. Does not look bearish. So again, this is strengthening, putting in higher lows. You know, really, I mean, nice little head and shoulders, right? You got 81, and 76 is the head, and you got the two shoulders. Well, now all we need to do is take out about $95, and we'll be off and running to that test of 120. You know, area 130 again. So Matt, again, this.
Since we're on energy, bring up natural gas too, because we've had our eyeball on that. And
yeah, natural gas has pulled back a little bit today after a huge run over the last couple of days. But yeah, I can bring that up. Hang on one second.
Hump day, baby. Hump day. Hump day in the markets. I got 39.20, Matt. 39.20 SPOOs. 39.20. My line in the sand on the weekly. They take that out.
We bottomed down there at 470. We topped yesterday here at 5. You know, up $1. I mean, that's Bob. I mean, that's just a huge move. And now we came back and tested the point of control and took off again. So if you're active in this is giving, you know, some nice trade setups over the last number of days, long side setups. I don't think you want to be, you know, shorting natural gas right now. I think the bottom is at least temporarily put in, and let's see if we can't, you know, retrace some of that big move that it fell off from 10 back to 4. I mean, that was, don't forget that we came from 10 all the way back down to 470, and you know, that's why did it stop there? I mean, if you're paying attention,
bingo.
So
Quad Gallagher.
Again, a great trade setup if you're just using a 1-year chart, and those trade setups only come along, you know, once in a while. But on the long-term chart, when those setups come in, you want to be long and you want to put on some size, because a bounce like we just had came. And so again, if you're paying attention to the prices in the market, and this was a beautiful trade setup, and we were talking about it, that $5 level went through it a little bit, as it always does. It has to go through those even numbers, shake out all the, you know, the stops there at 5, which it did. And then now we're all the way back up here to, you know, 570. So very bullish looking chart again to me. Just came really, all you're doing is coming into the meat of the profile. And this is where people want to own natural gas again. And yeah, winter is coming still. Winter's
coming. And if, you know, if we need to expand the electrical grid, part of that equation is going to be natural gas. I don't care what you tell me. It's got to be. It's a better alternative than coal, and coal is better than wood, by the way, which they're scurrying to find in Europe right now, getting ready.
Really crazy.
To stoke the stove. Man, I have to share this one thing. I need to share the hypocrisy, and if you can't see it, please let me point it out. Where the heck is it now? Hold on. There it is. Sharing. This is from the United States Senate, Matt. You see that? And from the desk of Rand Paul. And it's to the Honorable Miss Walensky, or Mrs. Walensky. And she's a doctor. but she's also the head of the CDC. And the whole article or the whole letter points out that the CDC has awarded a federal contract to Weber Shadwick to conduct a marketing consulting services for the National Center for Immunization Respiratory Diseases. And they're going to put a fair amount of people on site, 10 on-site communication officers, 7 health comm specialists, 2 health research specialists, 1 social media specialist, to give strategic messaging for vaccines. The problem, Matt, is that they're also the partner in a consulting services contract with Pfizer and I think Moderna both. So it's amazing how much messaging can be, I don't know, aligned, would you say? Aligned with, we haven't looked at it in a while. What does everybody think about coming up into the election of Pfizer and Moderna? And
they love it. It's a big, Joe got his 5th booster yesterday.
Right. Let's look at it.
And he's calling for the, winner of death again. So he's excited. So that definitely put a jab into the jabs yesterday. And Moderna is rocking and rolling. The market loves it. Because apparently he's a good salesperson and he's helping out the company and they've raised their prices on what the fools that want to take this poison.
Yeah, they're going to pay 4x what they paid for their last boost.
So I think we looked at this last week. What a week it's had. What a week. Double bottom down here in the teens and wham, all the way back up to 140. What did we hit today? 147, 147 and change. Look at that.
I mean, Matt, there's an old adage that we used to say on the trading floor.
That's bullish. That's bullish.
Double your brokerage and hope you only lose half your business. So if they 4x the cost of the jab, they have to service a lot fewer people to make the same money.
Yeah, Pfizer, same thing. Big rally off of the 41s and all the way up here to 46. So again, and I think a lot of it, seasonal, right? But get your flu shots, get whatever they're going to call it now. But again, now you're starting to see liberal talking heads like Ben Shapiro, like one of the wackiest libs out there, saying that we were duped. Oh, really? Now you're gonna jump on that after you were pounding people for wanting to poison everybody else by not getting the jab. I mean, give me a break. These people all need, like, when Hillary starts going after the jab companies, I can't wait. I can't wait for that. And it's going to be Trump's fault, I'm sure.
Honestly, dude,
I'm surprised. I'm surprised that hasn't happened yet.
Honestly. I am shocked they have not pivoted and didn't pivot a year ago and just start pointing the finger at him.
Right. I mean, that to me, that's the way. If you want to blame Trump, that seems to me to be the easiest way ever. Is just pin the jab on him. Pin the jab on the orange man. Like, why haven't they? That would have won you the election if you did that.
Yep, I agree.
So they missed an opportunity.
Because pharma
there.
pays for everything. Let's face it. They couldn't swallow that one.
They missed a good opportunity. Is all I'm saying.
All right, man. We got no MLB until Friday. I know you're deep into the hockey season of betting. How to work out for you last night. And again, I got to applaud the Red Wings of just finding anybody that's not North American to be the stars of their team.
They lost. They lost their first game. They got blown out. The game started at 4. I didn't start watching it until the third period was starting. So it was over. It was 4-1, the third period. I said, okay, I did an in-game bet. I didn't do a starting bet. I totally forgot about it, but I wouldn't have bet on that game probably anyways. I'm sure the Red Wings were favored. Third period, they're down to the Devils 4-1, and it's plus 3.5 of the Red Wings. They're at home. I'm like, yeah, they'll score 1, they'll score 1, make it close. And 3.5, I like that. So sure enough, I'm watching it. They score. It's 4-2. 4 minutes left in the game. I'm like, this is looking good. I'm plus 3.5. They can give up a goal still.
Backdoor Two
They gave
goals
up
in 4 minutes.
2 goals in 4 minutes.
That's why they call it gambling.
That's why they call it gambling. So I was a big loser. I was the big loser on that one. You know, speaking of that, speaking of orange juice, you know, we talked about orange juice, you know, when the hurricanes were hitting, and that's had a nice run. And I don't know if you've looked at that, but all the way up here to 212 last week, and pulled back a little bit, and now 205, up another 1.5% today. So
do me a favor and fractal out on that, because now this sets up, obviously.
this is you know, a 6-month chart that we're looking at. So
I understand that, but we need to get to, you know, the frost problems for that crop come in January, February, when we have a polar vortex that drops. And I just wanted
interesting,
to see that because,
interesting. You can see, like, this is November of 16. We peaked at 227, and this was all January of 12. Okay. So kind of now, from now to February is probably that time, and the price is
and if that polar vortex doesn't develop and there isn't any damage to the crop in that early winter period, massive opportunity for a reversion to the mean. Yeah, I love that. I love that.
It's setting up here on the calendar. So I did want to point that out, that orange juice may be providing some opportunities here, November, December, January.
Right on.
Probably on the short side.
Beeks, do you have the information? I have information. All right, Matt. You need to get on the road. Matt's leaving witness protection and is going to look completely different on tomorrow's broadcast. Please head to Amazon before they announce earnings and help them out and help us out by buying some Shrimp Mojo rub. You buy a pound of it, Matt. You can sell dime bags for a dime of $10, and you can make a lot of money. You can sell
a dime bag for your one.
Now you do the math. You can sell ounces for
your $8. Chicken leg. Your one chicken leg.
Hey, you know what? I just thought about this, by the way. The price of chicken, and particular chicken wings, is getting ridiculous. In fact, I was at a bar the other day, and they wanted $22 for chicken wings. $22 for like 8 chicken wings.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot.
I'm like, are you kidding me? Now, I do have some family history of this. My mom used to make this recipe called mock chicken legs, and it was back in
my mom made that too. I remember that.
Right in the
it was called mock chicken. Yeah, what was it? What was it though? I forget.
So it was a skewer with pork cutlet, or the cheapest pork like cut that you could get, and you cut them into little like 1-inch squares and put them on a skewer, right? And then egg wash, flour, egg wash, and then fry them in either deep fry them or just pan fry them in Crisco and kill everybody with heart disease by the end of the meal, which was that was the objective. I mean, see, they've been trying to kill us off for years. Well, that's what people don't understand, is they've been trying to depopulate us for years. We're just incredibly resilient. Mock chicken legs, like, I was wondering, like, how much the cost benefit ratio would be to do the chicken wings, mock chicken wings, chicken legs. I mean, chicken wings were nothing. They used to grind those up and feed it to cats and dogs before there was this buffalo sauce, and there was spicy wings, which completely turned the chicken market upside down, by the way.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Well, and another reason why the market is going up, Bob. Why does the market go up when the dollar goes down?
Yes. Yeah.
So let's talk about that, because Lee mentioned that. And also thank you, Lee, for the thoughts on Lord doing Royals. Thank you. I could not come up with their name.
So, I remember that tune now. I remember it.
So this is looking, short term, very bearish, obviously, on the dollar. Lower highs in the 113s over the last month, and then now rotating lower, 109. But again, we kind of talked about this. You get it down to that 105 area, and you might find some, buying interest down here. But we'll see. We'll see if it gets that far. But if it does, the market's going to continue going up. So, if we were going to pull back all the way to 105, I mean, it's very possible we're trading at 41, 4,200 here.
Let me
Sometimes.
just tell you that my nuance
Before the
on
end of
this
the
is it's so steep on the weekly. I don't think we can get to the weekly low momentum level. Let me share it so I can be
Sure.
let me be crystal clear
Mhm.
on this in standard deviation modeling. This is so steep. We're right at the weekly average right now, right here. This weekly average or the lower momentum level with upward slope comes in 107.47. The week before is like 106.96. So let's just call it 50 cents a slope every week.
50 cents? 50 cents?
50 cents. So next week is going to come in at 108 or thereabouts. It really should respect that area. And if it doesn't, I don't like what I'm saying is if it can't hold that lower momentum level at 108 next week, I don't like the 105 double bottom, that other rest period nearly as much. I think this thing can unravel further. You got room down to the lower collar down to more like 102. And that makes a big difference how leveraged you are, right? Like with everything else. Anytime somebody talks about trading, where do you like it? Where do you think you're right? Where do you think you're wrong? The equation really comes back to leverage, because you cannot be an investor. We'd always talk about that. Well, now you're an investor. You like to trade and now you're just sticking with it. And you cannot be an investor in a highly leveraged instrument. All right. And so if you're trading futures, you got to have a stop point, right? And so for me, if I was going to do the 105s on your work, I'd be really careful with that and have a pretty tight stop or be watching it and see some sort of bounce happening and then jump on when I see some short-term momentum the other way. That's what I'm seeing. 108 next week, DXY for me is going to be really important on that weekly with upward sloping momentum still. And it's had a heck of a run. Yeah, obviously. And, so.
Well, and again, I mean, if you want to look at a multi-year chart, it's to your point, it's beyond bullish. And the point of control, we blew through it 96, 97 and never looked back. So I don't know. And again, my momentum is this green line. We're nowhere near turning. So that's a weekly chart. So
it's going to take time to turn that weekly around, man.
The last time we turned, it was June of 20. So it's been a long time. And it's been bullish really since May of 21. So it's been, again, this has been a heck of a run and I've benefited from it. But I mean, it may be done, it may be done. And again, I've lightened up considerably up there. And again, the top of the profile on this weekly is 102, to your point. The profile itself is 96. So those are all possible levels that we could trade to. I don't see that happening in the world we live in today. That's all I'm going to say.
I couldn't agree more. Like, I don't see how. I was talking to somebody today, this 10-year move is 60,000 a contract. How does that settle out just normally?
Right.
That seems impossible to me, that everything, and people are trading, I think, in a way that suggests that, everything's going to be fine. We're going to settle out just like we have times before.
Yeah.
And I just don't see how
inflation is just going to disappear in the next 2 months. Is this going to go away?
Yeah.
I read an article in New York Post this morning talking, and I mean, we see it where we live, and I didn't know if it, I think it's everywhere. I mean, I saw it in a restaurant. I ate it yesterday during lunch, understaffed. And it was lunch, right? So it was understaffed, but a lot of people there, slow service. And so this is, at some point, like you're paying high prices to go out already. Like we've talked, like you talked about with your chicken wings. It's ridiculous. Like you better do your mock chicken. You better do your mock chicken pork at home anyways.
Mock chicken legs. I'm gonna share the recipe tomorrow. Mock chicken legs. We'll jump over to the Monster TV kitchen.
But what I'm saying, what I'm trying to say is like, the shortage of people wanting to work still is, and the New York Post was talking about it. The hot spots in New York, like they can't keep people. They don't have enough people to have, to run a place past 9 o'clock, like they do where we live. I mean, and that's the craziest thing. Like if you're in a business and people want to come to your place, don't you want to be open as long as you can?
Yeah.
I mean,
Man, it's even got
that used to be the model. That used to be the model.
It's even got to the best business on planet Earth. Well, the second best business. And that's the drug business. Walgreens here, the pharmacy's open 10 to 5
right.
with a half-hour closure for lunch. I mean, good luck if you need meds.
And that's when you want to go to the store at lunch, right?
Sorry, we're closed. Good luck with your prescription.
It's great. Anyway. Yeah, good luck with your jabs, because we're closed for lunch. I gotta get my Chipotle before we come back.
All right, that's what we got.
Speaking of Chipotle, had another boomer earnings, but the market. Let's talk about that since you brought it. I brought it up, but that got hammered. I really wanted to short it into the earnings yesterday. They were good. The earning, and I did not. It was running. I just could not pull the trigger. Just because the trade's so funky sometimes, and you don't like, I would have bought puts for sure, because it can go against you so hard. But look at that, it peaked out there right at the close, 1659, down 150 from that level. Now, I mean, that's 10%. That's a big move. So again, that was a good earnings, but the input costs, whether it's labor, whether it's supplies, whether it's meat, right? They're passing those costs on. It's not an $8 burrito anymore. It's 10, 11, 12, I think, in most Chipotles now. So again, at some point, people are going to go, I'm not going to pay $12 for a freaking burrito when I can buy a pack of large flour tortillas and make my mock chicken pork and stuff it in there with my own veggies from my own garden, and bam, that's the cheapest meal you can make, right? So
absolutely.
So
chicken wings.
Again, good earnings, but the market said, nah, not so fast. Like, it's the costs that are piling up. And again, this is a successful national franchise, right? They're good at what they do. They are good at what they do.
Yeah, they are.
And people like it. A lot of people don't, but a lot of people don't have real Mexican by them like you and I do. So Chipotle is like the last choice when I have really good Mexican, but it's fine. It's a fine product, but again, it's not an $8 burrito anymore. Last time I went in, it was like 11, 12. So those prices aren't coming back down. And that means the 50% increase has got to be absorbed by the consumer. And that's hard to absorb, dude. Like if you used to go once a week, now you're going half a time a week.
All right, Matt. Thank you. Please visit us at marketfundamentals.io. Please share, retweet. Please share, retweet. Please share, retweet the broadcast. That's what we want, retweets. Forget about likes. I don't like much, Matt, but I would like a retweet. I'll tell you that right now. Thank you, Lee. And we will see Matt tomorrow once he's out of witness protection. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Bobby. Really looking forward to Biden talking to Jay Leno about, electric cars. Really looking forward to that.
Right
Goodbye.
on.